Hi, and welcome back, Flipsiders, to another episode of The Flip Side, where we just talk about some fun, philosophical things that we just used to do and talk about down at the Flip Side back in the day, which was a young adult youth, basically young adult center that was in Bemis Point and stuff. So today we're going to talk about a fun topic that a bunch of us might remember, where we used to say, let's go talk on the DQ. And basically, I'll kind of turn this over to Andy. You can tell us, what does it mean to talk about something on the DQ?
Yeah, well, DQ means exactly like you're probably thinking. It doesn't mean down quiet necessarily. It means Dairy Queen, right? And so, I started that idea because I decided that all important meetings would fit me best if they were happening at Dairy Queen. And the reason for that is that it is kind of on the down quiet, right? But that it gives me the best opportunity to be Christ-like in a moment, right? There are way too many opportunities that we can have a meeting with somebody, an important meeting with somebody, and it's not Christ-like in nature, right? Mm-hmm. So what we want to think through in some of these things is, how do I honor the other person, but how do I also honor Christ? I want to come out of this meeting being Christ-like. I want them to feel like they had a meeting with Jesus. That's impossible in nature, right? But God can do that. We've had those kind of meetings with people, and probably with the two of us, right? But we want to be Jesus in these meetings, right? So thinking about the parameters of that meeting, when we were at the Flip Side, we did a lot of walks. People can question that. They can do whatever they want with that. But we did a lot of walks because there were people around. It was relatively safe to do that. But it allowed one-on-one time in a place where on a Saturday night there were 30, 40 people. Right? You're not finding a corner to have a quiet conversation, right? Type of thing. So we're looking for really the whole idea was, how do I get to be Christ-like in good conversations, but also in tough conversations?
Yeah, and that's so important because in today's society, it seems like we save all those conversations, the good ones, the hard ones. I don't want to say bad ones, because as Christians we shouldn't be having bad conversations. Yeah. We should be having good conversations and then hard conversations. I feel like so many of those conversations end up on social media.
Yep.
Whether it's a Facebook post, or whether it's a private message, or whether it's a Snapchat, or whether it's hopefully not through TikTok and so forth. But we have all these different platforms, is what I'm trying to say, that people tend to think that's the best place to express it.
Yep.
But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, does that really leave someone feeling loved versus a walk, versus getting ice cream at Dairy Queen? Or for me, I'm pretty big on, I get together with a lot of people over a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And just, it's a place where people feel safe, and and they feel loved and taken care of. And that kind of also takes us to a story, because Jesus used to do stuff similar to this in the New Testament. Actually, I think of lots of examples. There was Jesus met in people's homes. Yep. Jesus interacted with people in weddings. Mm-hmm. He actually had, think about it, he had some really good conversations. Like I think about Zacchaeus, that's a pretty good conversation. Yeah. And one home, but then another home, he's reclining at the table and he's calling the Pharisees a brood of vipers and numbers. So there's some pretty funny DQ moments with Jesus where it's good conversations and hard conversations, although the Pharisees probably would have labeled the one bad. But he also has a really cool conversation with Peter. So if any of you guys have seen the Chosen series, you probably have seen Peter is a very interesting character who tends to put his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yep. We also know some context here. Peter denies Jesus, and this takes place at the very end, John 21, verse 15, and we see basically Jesus having a DQ moment essentially with Peter. So let's check it out here, starting in verse 15. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said. "You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you truly love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep."
Amen.
Third time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." And he goes on to tell Peter some interesting stuff about like one kind of like how his life's going to end, which I know is a little weird. And Peter's like, what about that guy over there? So Peter still has some interesting moments there. But, when we read this, we see a couple things. One, when they had finished eating, they had sat down for a meal, which in Jewish society, eating with somebody was very important to establishing relationship, fellowship, and also a sign of hospitality. And then we also see Jesus walking with people often, and I think when we see Jesus walking with Peter here, it seems like later on it says that like John was following them, that maybe they had walked off, kind of like Andy had mentioned how they like to go on walks, walked off kind of by themselves but still within sight of people, and they were having that conversation and so forth. So it seems like Jesus is really big on these DQ moments.
Yeah, well, I think, again, Jesus knows what we need.
Yeah.
Right? So the enemy constantly wants us stuck in moments. That's why he has you focused on, all kinds of goofy things from a meeting. How somebody looked at you, how somebody talked, what they said, all these things. And God is concerned about you getting healing, getting freedom, getting past something, getting through something, right? We need to think like that. Where is this talk going to be most beneficial, right? I've done lots of talks walking with people around my farm, right? That's very beneficial to me. And when they want to walk up the driveway and they want to have a hard conversation with me, walking on my property, that's fantastic. It honors me and it's good, right? There are times where that's not appropriate. They don't want to walk up. They shouldn't be walking on my driveway, right? So where can we meet that will give both of us the opportunity to be Christ-like? Jesus seems to have pulled Peter aside here, right? Doing a little walk. I don't know what that is. Walking towards something. Actually, he is walking towards Peter's future, right? Trying to set him up for that. And he just simply asks him 3 times a very important question. One for each time that he was denied, we assume, right? But Peter gets it, right? And it sets Peter up to fulfill what Jesus said about him. I'm going to build my church on you, right? That's important because, again, we want to be working with Jesus to accomplish what it is that he wants to accomplish within people. I don't want to be the stumbling block, right? If I'm having a meeting with you that's only going to cause hurt, harm, stumbling, go back in time, redo things, that's not Christ. That's not his intention. Christ's intention is to have a meeting with us so that we're moving forward in nature. Where we do that matters super importantly. It is hard for me, I told you, super hard for me to be in a bad place and get angrified when I am having a banana split at Dairy Queen.
Well, and that's the thing, we see so many times where Jesus just meets people where they are.
That's right.
And I think that one of the big challenges for our modern society is that we think that everybody wants to meet online, when really I think after this pandemic and people being online all the time,
Amen.
I think a lot of people are looking for some DQ moments. And these conversations don't always have to be hard conversations. They can also be good conversations, which a hard conversation is a good conversation, but it usually is a little bit tougher, like, hey, I'm concerned for you, or I love you, or I want to see this area of your life conform to what Christ says. And but it also those good conversations, just getting together with real people.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, like you said, sometimes there's good conversations we want to have with somebody that we want to have it on the DQ as well, because good conversations can bring about jealousy and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? In the wrong setting, I start telling people how much I love Dave, and everybody's like, well, doesn't he like me? Doesn't he want this? Blah, 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 blah. Dave's his favorite. Sometimes we just need to be careful about where we're having conversations, right? Jesus called out Zacchaeus, right, from the tree.
Yeah.
But he didn't, while he was in the tree, say, and I got this against you, this against you, this against you. Jesus met with the adulterous woman in a place that was safe for her, right? She was at his feet, but like in a setting, right, where he got rid of all the other people so he could deal with her and say, don't sin anymore. Jesus dealt with a Samaritan woman in a safe place for her at the well in the afternoon when nobody else was around, right? Jesus dealt with people, fishermen and on the lake. He dealt with all kinds of people in places where it was taking care of them, right? And I think that's important.
For sure. And I think our challenge really for everyone listening is, like, this week, think about how, like, who First off, who and where you can have your sort of DQ moments. A setting that's comfortable for you and comfortable for that person, just to kind of do life together, have good conversations, have hard conversations. And then more importantly too, before we can have those sort of moments, it's important for us to have a DQ moment with God. Like where can we really connect with God? Where can we drown out the noise and have sort of a moment where we're truly talking with him and also taking the time to actually listen.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time here at The Flip Side as we wrap things up with our final episode. Have a great day.